Hello everybody, my name is Dee and welcome to Books and Quirks. Today is Friday again, so it's time for another Friday Reads. And I have to tell you, I had the best reading week I've had in such a long time. This year hasn't been the best, for me at least, with reading, um, and having all those colds and everything just didn't help. But I finally was able to get into the groove and I have to say, I really enjoyed what I read this week. I think that also was what made it such a great reading week for me and kept me going. So I'm going to quickly wrap up for you what I finished reading and just tell you what I'll be concentrating on this weekend. So the first book I finished last week, and I finished it on Saturday. It was a buddy read, and that was Among Others. I'm really not going to talk about this book because I feel like I talked about it a lot last week. I really enjoyed it. It's really a love story to science fiction and fantasy, and it has, some magical qualities in it. The main character can speak to fairies, and she's very much immersed in this, magical world. Um, I was the only person in the buddy read group that really enjoyed it, so I would take my opinion with a grain of salt if you want to read it. Um, I would look at other reviews as well, but it seems to be really well loved for the most part in the SFF community. So yeah, I don't even have that book on me at the moment to show you, but that was the first book that I finished. And right after I finished Among Others, I picked up the Songs of Love and War by Santa Montefiore. I really loved this book. This is a historical fiction. It takes place in the early 20th century. It starts prior to World War I. When the book starts, it's 1910, and it goes throughout the war and after the war. Now, this isn't really about World War I, though. That's kind of an afterthought in this book, because this book actually takes place in Ireland, and it follows an English family living in Castle Deverell. Um, it's basically they're an aristocratic family, and it follows mainly one of the children of the Deverells. And I just had to look real quick because my memory is failing me. And her name was Kitty Deverell. And Kitty is very much her own person, and she gets involved in the unrest that's going on in Ireland, because this book really revolves around the Irish Revolution, which I didn't know hardly anything about. So this was really educational. I really felt like I got a feel for what was going on and the unrest. The Irish Revolution stemmed from the fact that they really resented being under English control, and they didn't want to be under the crown anymore. They wanted to be independent, and there was a lot of unrest, a lot of riots, a lot of burning of English houses and things like that. Anything English was basically the enemy for the Irish, because they felt like those were the symbols of their oppression. So I really loved this book so much that I started this on Saturday evening, and I stayed up until the wee hours of the morning reading this, because when you have that book and you're just like, I can read one more chapter. It's really late, but I can read one more chapter. And that's what happened with this book. I didn't put it down. I read it almost all in one sitting. I did go to bed eventually, but I got up bright and early the next morning, even though I only had a couple hours sleep, and finished it because I really loved this. This was recommended to me by my friend Cheryl over at Sierra Flames Fan. I've heard she was the one that read it, and it really piqued my interest. So I wanted to give it a go myself, and I'm so glad I did. This is actually, this was kind of open-ended. It ended in 1925. And there is a second book, which I did purchase. I'm still waiting for it to come. And I plan to read the second book pretty soon because these characters and the whole, background of the Irish Revolution and everything really captured my heart. And I absolutely loved it. So the next book I finished after that was The Ocean at the End of the Lane. This is a really short book. It's written by Neil Gaiman. I'm sure you've heard of it. Um, this book is an adult fantasy. It is about, I don't know how to describe it, a magical world embedded in the real world. When the book starts off, it follows this middle-aged man, and he's visiting his childhood home for the first time since he was a child, because he's there for a funeral. And he goes next door because he, as a child, he had a friend that lived next door. And then it goes kind of in a flashback to when he was 7 years old and had this friend, and all hell broke loose basically with these evil magical creatures that came through a doorway, kind of, because his friend, their house and their family is part of this kind of these generations of people that kind of protect the world against these evil creatures. That's the best way I could know how to describe it. And it follows his adventures as a child. As an adult, because of the way the magic works, he doesn't remember really anything that happened. His memories are skewed, and he believes something entirely different. But I really enjoyed this book. I can't remember whether I gave it 3 or 4 stars, but I definitely was creeped out by, a couple times in this book. It was just creepy. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Creepy and eerie. So I definitely recommend this if you enjoy Neil Gaiman, if you enjoy creepy read, especially because it's really short. It's only 164 pages, and anybody can fly through this. His writing is really easy to get through. It's just it's just a fast read. So I will be participating. I decided last week that I was going to participate in Romance Readers Bingo going on throughout the whole summer. It started on the 1st of June. I'm a little bit late with this. And goes until the end of August. It is hosted by Sissy at Romance Booktube Queen and Sarah of Not Just Romance Novels. And I will be doing a TBR for that. I've already filmed it, actually. I just have to edit it and upload it. It will be going up probably at some point this weekend. But I finished my first book for BookTube Bingo, and that is Ever After by Rachel Lacey. I had this on my shelf, actually. And there are, with this bingo, there are something like 25 challenges, and you have to fill in the different squares, and I'll explain that during my TBR. But this filled the challenge of, it actually fills a couple of challenges. This is a contemporary romance, and it has a dog and a cat on the cover, which is one of the challenges. So this was a really cute, basic romance about a woman that is very much, she's very much fighting for animal rights and against the cruelty of animals, and she gets caught spray painting a chicken slaughtering warehouse, I guess, building, and gets arrested. And a romance ensues between her and the detective. So it's your basic romance, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I really love romance. It's just easy to get through, and yeah, it's just a feel good romp. Okay, so now on to the book that I'll be reading tonight and into the weekend. And I only have really one book to show you because it's a huge chunker. And that is The Rise and Fall of the D.O.D.O by Neil Stevenson and Nicole Galland. This is a science fiction, maybe, mixed with fantasy, um, because there's magic involved, but there's also highly sophisticated government agencies involved. So I don't remember much about this book. I've had it on my shelf for a little while, and I've heard a couple booktubers talk about it. And this book is about a woman working for a government agency. She's an expert in linguistics and something else, in languages, and she works for the military intelligence part of the government, and she is tasked with translating some documents and bringing back magic into this world. I think. I mean, it's a very confusing synopsis given on the inside of the cover, but I remember people talking about this, and it really seemed like something I would enjoy. So I hope to enjoy it. It is like 800 pages or something like that. Almost 800 pages. So I don't know if I'm going to pick up anything else this weekend other than this, because it's a huge chunker. I hope to enjoy it. And I hope it doesn't take me too long. It seems to be written in different kinds of formats. Yeah, it looks like, journal entries and some regular text, and yeah, so it should be really interesting, and hopefully I enjoy it. And of course I could tell you a lot more once I start it and finish it. So that is all I have for you. That's my Friday reads. I hope you enjoyed. I feel good because I had such a good reading week, and I hope that continues. And I hope you all are having some good reads going on. I'm excited for this romance readathon, and it feels so good to have it spread out over the whole summer. I feel like I can get a whole lot of romance reading in, because I really failed at the chicklet readathon and everything else this year. It just hasn't been a good year, but I feel like this is going to be good. And yeah, I hope that you all are having a good Friday, a good weekends coming up wherever you are. I just hope you're all doing good. And I will speak to you all very, very soon. Bye.